Hello and welcome to Picking Your Brain, the show where we bring on a young expert, ask them a bunch of questions about their speciality, and send them on their merry way. Sound like fun? Kinda freaky? Just you wait and see. I'm your host, Dr. Rolph Vandergill, and today we'll be noodling the noggin of one Thomas Dare Stanton of James River High School in Richmond, Virginia. So, Thomas, what will we be talking about today?
Not so much a what as a who, Doctor. We'll delve into the mind of a man who had a profound effect on today's world. He's often called the father of modern psychology, Dr. Sigmund Freud.
So, Thomas, I'll dive right in. Tell me your feelings about your mother. What?
Oh, ha, very funny.
Just kidding. But seriously, who were considered colleagues and contemporaries of Dr. Freud?
One of the most well-renowned is Carl Jung, who started an inner circle about Dr. Freud.
Inner circle? Explain.
Well, his inner circle, some would say, a secret committee of sorts.
Ooh, a secret club.
Yes, well, set up in 1912, it consisted of Freud's most loyal and trusted psychoanalysts. It was designed to rout out those breaking with any of the fundamental tenets of psychoanalytic theory.
Riveting.
Well, it was, and functioned for well over 10 years before it fell apart and was then re-energized the same year.
Oh, and I know this part, and they were all given a golden ring.
Yes, a special ring, and I quote, "This last survivor of those to whom the 7 rings of the Master were given and who attested that they were not simply reserved for the bearers of relics."
Oh, how I love that old English.
Dude, he was Austrian.
One of my weak attempts at levity. How about other mentors or colleagues? I'm sure he had more than one.
Correct. Another one of his mentors was Jean-Martin Charcot, and unlike you, a master of hysterics.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. Monsieur Charcot had quite an interesting take on hysterics, did he not?
He certainly did, and I dare not forget Dr. Joseph Breuer, one of Freud's biggest mentors and a favorite colleague. As you might recall, he and Freud discovered a form of treatment that their patient, Anna O, called the talking cure.
Anna O? Oh, I'm not quite familiar with that work.
Anna O was one of Dr. Breuer's patients. He asked Dr. Freud for help with her treatment as she suffered from many neuroses including amnesia, hallucinations, imagined smells, interruption of speech, and numbness along her whole right side.
Ooh, poor girl. Sounds absolutely frightful.
Well, she certainly would have had my sympathy. Breuer and Freud discovered that if she talked about it, well, eventually the symptoms somehow lessened.
That's impressive. But a talking cure, did it really help?
The talking cure wasn't a permanent solution, but it certainly helped. Unfortunately, Breuer decided that he would no longer make use of this new method or even treat Anna as a patient anymore. Something to do with an imagined pregnancy?
Really?
Well, either way, Dr. Freud continued refining the technique, and this became the basis for Freudian theory of psychoanalysis.
Fascinating. So is this how he started to build an understanding of the mechanics of the brain?
No, that began when Freud started dissecting petromyzin, a curiously primitive species of fish whose nervous system is quite similar to ours, especially their cell structure.
Oh, sounds nasty.
Maybe, but important, as this aided in his understanding of the brain. Because as you may imagine, there weren't that many human cadavers available. The process of embalming wasn't quite worked out yet, and most bodies were immediately buried or burned when someone died.
Ooh, that really stinks.
Well, that was the point.
Oh, quite so. Well, what got the good doctor started in the field of psychology?
Well, Sigmund Freud had always been interested in dreams, and as a child, he even kept a journal of his experiences in this alternate reality.
Really?
To him, it became a window of understanding to what lay hidden in the subconscious mind.
Sounds like you share his fascination. Well then, what was his theory about the nature of dreams?
Well, think of it this way. First, imagine your subconscious as a spider, a weaver of webs, the web being your dream's context. Start in the center. At first, all you see is the middle of this web. Now, the center of this marvelous web reveals very little to us, but the main strands that intersect at the nexus, those are the main themes or ideas in your mind. As we slowly widen our gaze, we see these ideas being crossed over by the spiral of memories and trains of thought, often from one's everyday experiences.
A sticky subject on this web, but I'm crawling my way along.
Yes. Well, as we spiral outward, we finally reach the outer edges of this web. Here we see why these ideas were so prominent and get a glimpse as to their sources, like emotions, memories, feelings of past experiences. Every part of the dream is interconnected. Although dreams are a quite common occurrence, they can be a fantastic journey and an insightful experience.
In a word, wow. I see Dr. Freud's fascination with dreams. And how apropos, as we're wrapping it up just in time for my usual afternoon nap. Well, thank you for your time, Thomas, and a very visual illustration of Dr. Freud's life.
Thank you, Doctor.
Join us for the next riveting episode of Picking Your Brain, where we'll be interviewing a real-life Hannibal Lecter. I guess we'll have to call that one Picking Your Teeth. Right, Thomas?
I'm like curdling my flesh.
Well, thank you, and see you soon. Really, thank you. Thank you very much. This was a wonderful episode. I didn't know that about Freud. I thought he was a fascinating man, but I had no idea. Fascinating. Well, again, thank you. Fascinating. So is this how he started to get his understanding? And again, feed me the line. Feed me the line. Freudian theory of psychoanalysis.
Okay, this is obviously going to be a gag.
All right. It became the basis of Freudian theory of psychoanalysis.
Freudian theory of psychoanalysis.
Fascinating. So is this how he started? Fascinating. So is this how he started to get an understanding of the mechanics of the brain?
Freudian theory of psychoanalysis.
Fascinating. So is that you're smiling. You're smiling. Yeah, you're like. He was like.
I'm trying not to. I'm trying to
lips are moving around like Johnny Quest.
I'm trying my best not to smile.
Okay, here we go.